Hey folks, Valentin the Mad here, and today we'll be looking at the response mechanics in 6 Days in Fallujah. Before we begin, it should absolutely be clarified that the game at no point was aiming for gore. It is an intense experience, but shocking you with severed limbs or missing chunks of heads is not something it is going for. However, you can still very much have an impactful, responsive experience, even with basic mechanics, and some of those are very much in. So, let's see what we have. For explosives, things like gel impacts, you will have wounds on the body. Seems like there is some degree of fragmentation simulation, and those will leave wounds. For gunfire, you have that as well, a hole in the center with a good amount of soakage around it. On the face you basically have a partial review of an overlay. It does happen at the point of impact, but doesn't look great. For close though, which is most of what you'll be seeing, I think it does get the job done. That is pretty much what I mean with impactful basic mechanics. The response happens at the point of impact, the functionality is solid, and the looks are quite adequate. As for the environment aspect, it is kinda strange. So, I haven't seen anything. Not for the initial impacts, not rails for bleeding, and no blood pools. But what is odd is the oversized blood puff. Realistically, you wouldn't be getting those in most cases, definitely not on body shots using a pistol. I think in a game like this, the lack of a hit confirm feedback would actually not be a bad thing at all. Questioning whether you even hit the enemy would definitely add to the intensity. So, for very mild, very doable improvements that would make a difference, I suggest a more realistic approach for the puffs and splashes, have them appear when and where it would really be appropriate, and a puddle forming below the finishing hit after the character fell. As for animations, you have responses on impact, death animations followed by a ragdoll, or just a ragdoll. Overall, very basic stuff. There is no injured behavior or incapacitations for the insurgents. Now it is true that some of them were dragged out of their minds and until it is completely lights out, they will just keep going, but every single one? So do think that some injured behavior and incapacitations would have been appropriate. Particularly, insurgents still shooting you from a down state would have been really cool to see. The biggest issue here, however, is actually the ragdolls. Those are questionable. Sometimes they will deliver the basic feedback you're kind of expecting them to, but more often than not they will just feel not quite right, and it is something you will notice. Getting ragdolls to feel good and deliver that impactful effect is not an easy task, and hopefully this will get more attention down the line. Now I should note that for Marines, you have behaviors of checking for bleeding after taking a hit, not something many games do, bandaging, and there is incapacitation too. So, that is the state of the response mechanics. Hopefully, they will get some attention down the line. There are some small features like blood puddles that would make a big difference, and with better ragdolls, or even perhaps ground branch like active ragdolls, the feedback can be very solid. But damage wise, it is already basically there. Either way, I'll be following and I will make a video on the gameplay aspect of it too. It is a very interesting experience. Until next time.